Good morning. This is Judge Alyssa Perez presiding over the 210th District Court criminal docket for November 10th, 2022. All matters being heard today are being heard in accordance with all emergency orders and directives regarding COVID-19. In addition to that, we are streaming all matters live via YouTube for public viewing. Mr. Marufo, would you call our first case, please?
Top of page 3, Judge.
Mhm.
In cause number 2021 0D01935, State of Texas versus Jason Brian Lindstrom. Announcement of council, please.
Good morning, Erin Delaney Matney for the state. Your Honor, the stage is ready.
And bear with me.
And good morning, Your Honor. Mary's still in my camera, just swiveled around, but there I am. Mary Stillinger for Mr. Lindstrom, Your Honor.
It looks like you have some high-tech camera action going on there, Ms. Stillinger.
It was a good investment. We did this early on in COVID and it was worth it.
That's good. That's good. Okay. All right, Mr. Lindstrom. The reason I asked, I know we're not normally at a hearing where we would be on the record, but I wanted to see with the trial coming up, and then obviously there was a violation of the bond conditions. I'm reflecting a new offense in, I think it was in Arizona. Is that right? Yes.
That's correct. I would just like to note it is an alleged violation at this point. He has not had, he's set for a probable cause hearing on that case.
Okay.
December 7th. So we've reached out and spoken to the Office of the Public Defender out there. I do know I think there's a little information about the case that we have is something about selling hay and receiving money for hay and then not producing the hay. Yes, but Your Honor, we have been in plea negotiations. I checked, I did make Mr. Kent Sutton is handling this. He had made me an offer. I did send him an email with a slight adjustment counter offer. And I hadn't heard back from him. I was hoping he'd be here this morning. I don't know if Erin's got any.
Ms. Matney, did you have, were you able to see, I guess, that counter?
I have not seen it, Your Honor, and Kent came down sick, so all of a sudden, I'm sorry he's not here, and I'm not aware of the counter. I'm sorry.
It was just an email to him a few weeks ago, but he's offered a deferred with $700 a month and 8 years deferred. I was asking for, can we make it $500 a month and 9 years instead, just so to try to get the monthly payment down a little bit.
I think that is perfectly acceptable. Yes.
Ms. Stillinger, if that's where we really are, most of my reason for doing this, because we have such a busy December 2nd docket, I didn't think this was one, but I didn't have a good handle of where you all were. So with that said, I'm going to leave the final hearing plea deadline as is, kind of with the understanding that we're not really going to trial. So if we're at an agreement, if you all will circulate the plea paperwork, isn't he in Arizona or something? Yes.
Yes, he lives in Arizona.
How are we in terms of trying to accommodate doing the plea? Or is he going to be able to travel back over here for that date?
I was going to ask that, Your Honor. Actually, if it's possible to do a plea by Zoom, that would be ideal. He does not have a lot of funds, and I'm sure I don't know if he has travel restriction on his bond there, but I'm sure he could get an exception to come to court if he needs to come to court.
So I'll tell you this, the only way we do them by Zoom is if they're here right at the police center. And that's because I guess probation has to go over a few things. I'll work with you on it though. And so if you can start working on that and see what his availability is, with the holidays coming up, it would be pretty tight. I don't imagine we would really know something or be able to do it before the 29th. So with that said, I'll just anticipate either he will have made it here on the 29th and we can either do it in the courtroom or from the police center, or you will have an update for me on how we do that. I just want to be able to make a note on my trial that that this is not one. Okay.
It is not one that's going to go to trial, Your Honor. He's been very clear with me. He wants to accept an offer. Your Honor, I'm wondering if it would be possible to set a plea after his probable cause hearing.
You got it.
In Arizona, because if that gets dismissed or worked out, then there won't be any issue with respect to that.
You're absolutely right. So with that, what we're going to do is just take you off of that week entirely. And I'm going to put the final hearing plea deadline for December 13th.
Okay.
And we'll do it at 11 a.m. He
Okay.
can be here, if he can be here, Ms. Dillinger, on that date, great. Like if everything's taken care of, then we'll anticipate that being our plea date. Okay?
Perfect. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, Judge.
Who's
Bye.
next, Mr. Marufo? Bye-bye.
Bottom of page 2, Judge,
Okay.
in cause number 2018-0D0-2052, State of Texas versus Angel Herrera. Announcement of council, please.
This is Samantha Rock on behalf of the state. State's ready, Your Honor.
And Myrna Pages from Mr. Angel Herrera. Good morning, Judge. Ready as well. Your Honor, and Mr. Herrera's in the waiting room. Can we bring him in?
He's here now. I see him. I don't know if you can see him. Just confirm. It does say Angel Herrera.
I don't see him, but okay. Judge, so we are also set for trial on December 2nd on this one. This is a restitution for dismissal. Mr. Herrera is asking for more time to come up with the money. He got sick, and I guess he's just having a financial hardship. And so I brought him here in case the court had any questions to ask him.
So what's the restitution amount, Ms. Rago?
$22.50, Your Honor.
Has that been the same? Have we made any headway? This is a 2018 case. Was it late to kind of get started? Let me look at, you have an indictment. No, it's been around for a while. So
He had, this case, Judge, was kind of one of those where there was a warrant pending for quite some time, and so nothing had been going on with the case. And then he did turn himself in, I think, and he's back on track with respect to reporting and all that. But we don't anticipate to have the money ready. Am I incorrect on that, Mr. Herrera? I don't think that we'll have the money entirely ready anytime soon. So we're asking for more time. I don't know if the court is willing maybe to do like status hearings just to kind of, or payment plan, something like that to help him.
well, I mean, we have periodic hearings, and it sounds like this isn't new. I don't know what else other than really what is just a general request for more time. We have, let's see. His last trial date looks like was in December of 2022. Is that right? I mean, of 2020. We had in November 2020. Then we had another final hearing plea deadline 2 years ago. And there's been no movement, Mr. Herrera. So I'm going to leave Ms. Pages. Yeah, if you're speaking, Mr. Herrera, I can't hear you because you're muted.
The problem is, Judge, is that this is not a trial case. Like, this is a case that we're not going to go to trial. It's a restitution for dismissal, but it's still set on the trial track.
Who's the victim?
It's Mr. Rios, Your Honor.
Oh, it's not okay. Are you ready to go to trial, Ms. Rago, in December?
I've requested a notice of extraneous and a witness list be drafted. I was under the understanding that it was going to be restitution for dismissal, but if need be, we can get ready, Your Honor.
Well, you're set. And I don't know, it's been quite a long time. I don't know if you have contact with your victim. I don't know anything. So at this point, Mr. Herrera, were you going to say something? You're now not muted.
Yes, it's literally just a month. I just need like an extra month to at least I could use my taxes for it. It's because at first they're asking for $4,000, and it was really hard. And the last attorney that was before the one I have now, I asked him if I could do like something like a payment plan, and he was like, no, they need it all at once. And then they came at me later with the 2,200, and it's the same thing. I still have a family. I have my 6 kids I take care of as well.
I understand. Ms. Pages, I'm going to leave the trial setting as is. We'll see if the state's ready. Okay.
Okay, that's fine.
All right.
Thank you,
Thank
Judge.
you very much. Who's next?
Bottom of page 3, Judge.
Okay.
In cause number 2022-0D0-0564 and 2019-0D0-3583, State of Texas versus Joseph Rodriguez. Announcement of council, please.
Texas.
And Myrna Pages for Mr. Joseph Rodriguez, ready as well, Judge.
And Ms. King, I don't know if we can hear you a little bit better. We lost your video.
Can you hear me?
Just barely. So,
Can
oh man, Roa, that's very bad. That's really bad. So I'll give her a minute.
minutes?
We can get a better place for her.
Let me relocate. I'll be
Yeah,
right back.
that's not gonna work. We'll come back to this one, Ms. Pages. Who's next?
Okay, Judge, on page 9, Judge, middle of page 9. Let me
Okay.
go. In cause number 2019 0D0 3803, State of Texas versus Gabriela Marie Udero. Announcement of council, please.
Samantha Rogg on behalf of the state. State's ready, Your Honor.
Alejandra Valdez on behalf of Ms. Gabriela Udero, and I am here on behalf of Mr. Yanez.
Okay,
Dominguez for adult probation, Your Honor.
I thought I saw Miss Udero. Is she not here? Oh, there you are. Oh,
right there.
I see you. Okay, perfect. All right, so this was a reset on the motion for early discharge. Ms. Valdez, go ahead.
Yes, Your Honor, we're asking this court if we can please have an early discharge. Our client has complied with the community supervision conditions. She's completed all the classes in community service hour, and she has paid her fees.
All right. Ms. Dominguez, were you on this one? I'm sorry. I was trying to keep track of all the different.
Yes, Your Honor, I am.
So I think I have the report here. I see we still have some, it looks like some treatment that is still pending, but I don't think I see you all opposing early discharge.
Correct.
Can you tell me a little bit? Have you been supervising Ms. Udero?
Just recently, Your Honor. So what happened with Ms. Udero is she had a crisis. Unfortunately, her father committed suicide. So that put her into crisis, and she was modified to the mental health case. So Ms. Udero is an established patient at the East Valley Clinic with EHN, but because they modified her to mental health, we were pending a Takumi appointment for her, which is scheduled for later today at 1 o'clock. But from what I see, I mean, Your Honor, she's never had to have a court hearing since being placed on probation. I saw that she was compliant. Ms. Udero is working. She is going to school or getting things ready to return to school. The only thing is she's delinquent $367 in probation fees, and she's only pending 16 hours of community service.
And what are her probation fees at? They're at $60, right?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, but she's on for 7 years. Ms. Rocco, do you have any input here?
We'll defer to the court, Your Honor.
Yeah. For my purposes, what was the underlying, the ag assault, what was a little bit of the underlying facts there?
Let me see. Tried to rob a complaining witness, and get keys and purse, and robbed her at gunpoint. Or sorry, knife point. I'm sorry, Your Honor, knife.
Yeah, I'm seeing here, you know, she failed to report on November 8th, but then called back later. Said, you know, I'm just not real comfortable, Ms. Valdez, with the early discharge at this point, especially since it looks like we are ongoing in terms of treatment. I am, though, happy to kind of modify some of her conditions on probation to include her probation fees be reduced to $25 a month, retro to the date that she pled. Ms. Valdez, and so Ms. Udero, so you know, I'd be happy to look at this, but not too soon, maybe in about a year. And if we've got, again, compliance like I've seen, I guess, thus far, in other words, you're compliant with all your conditions to include your treatment, I will definitely reconsider it. So for now, it's denied.
Okay, thank you, Your
Are
Honor.
there, Ms. Valdez, are there any other conditions that you know of that are, you know, particularly constraining? I think the mental health treatment is essential. If, you know, your client has experienced, you know, crises in the past and may have had difficulties. Is there anything else other than the financial?
No, Your Honor, not that I'm aware of.
Ms. Udero, communicate with your probation officer while we continue on probation for now. And Ms. Dominguez, you let me know if anything comes up. We'll work through it together, okay? But for
Yes,
now, I'm going to deny the early discharge. Okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Valdez. Thank you, Ms. Udero.
Thank you. May I be excused?
You may.
May I be excused, Your Honor?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank
Who's
you.
next?
Top of page 7, Judge.
Go ahead.
In cause number 2020-0D04124, State of Texas versus Daniel Lopez. Announcement of council, please.
Samantha Rock on behalf of the state. Stage ready, Your Honor.
Alex Schwaller for Mr. Lopez. We're ready, Your Honor.
Okay, let me get to the report. Is Mr. Lopez here by any chance?
He's trying to connect right now.
He's logging on, I believe.
I feel like I've seen him in other, maybe when he hasn't had a hearing. Give me a second. Let me find the report. Carla, you're covering this one?
Good morning, Judge. Yes, I am.
Okay. Okay, so we're here for a probation status hearing. Carla, you want to give me an update? I see Mr. Lopez. Is he connected? Yeah, he's connected. Okay.
Your Honor, we are following up on Mr. You want me to wait for Mr. Lopez? I'm sorry.
I think he's connected, so we're good.
We are following up on this hearing, Judge, the status. Mr. Lopez does have a pending assault causing bodily injury family violence case. The date of arrest was back in February 6, 2022. He does have an open MTR at this time. The court did impose for Mr. Lopez to complete a 30-day jail commitment, which was completed. To date, Your Honor, he did complete his community service hours. That was an update on the summary. I apologize. The 30 days were completed. He has completed BIP. No TAP treatment was recommended. The motion does continue to remain open, Judge. You had wanted us to follow up and have the motion open until he completed the 30 days, and we would discuss it then. But we do have a pending case.
I feel like we had already been here after he did his 30 days ACOP, and I thought we were already at a dismissal of the motion. Maybe I just, in my head, jumped ahead, but he did his 30 days. So that was my concern. What's the status of the AFB?
It's still open, Judge. I mean, I suspect that either it'll be dismissed or at worst rolled into this one. There are no serious injuries in it. And we have some settings, I think, in December on it.
Yeah, the last notation I have here is, for my purposes with the new offense, the 30 days was going to be the sanction and we would dismiss the motion. So if we haven't done that already, let's go ahead and have that motion dismissed. Unless there is a concern, Ms. Pineda, that we need to come back for another review, I'm good to go. You know, he can deal with his misdemeanor case, and if anything else comes up, I know you'll let me know. Yep. Okay, that's what we're gonna do. So let's get that motion dismissed. Thank you, Mr. Shawala. Thank you, Mr. Lopez. Don't get in any more trouble.
Thank you, Judge. May I be excused?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Who's next?
Top of page 10, Judge. In cause number 2021-0D01230, State of Texas versus Jose Francisco Vasquez. Announcement of council, please.
Samantha Rock on behalf of the state. Stage ready, Your Honor.
Albert Beal for Mr. Vasquez.
David Macias, adopt probation, Your Honor.
And is Mr. Vasquez is there. Okay. All right, and this is another probation status hearing. Mr. Macias, I know I have a summary, but I just assume hear from you. What's going on?
Your Honor, since our last court hearing on September 13th, Mr. Vasquez did complete his 30 days of condition of AOCP on the October 17th. But since then, we have a couple of missed test windows. We have a missed test window on 10 p.m. on October 19th. We have a missed test window on October 22nd at 6 a.m. And then we have a positive BA, which was submitted on October 29 at 10:26. The results were 0.029, 0.024, 0.026, and the last one was 0.019 at 10:39 p.m. We have another positive BA on October 30th. Next day at 10:05 p.m., the results were 0.030, 0.028, 0.027, 0.022, 0.026, 0.024, 0.025, and the last one was 0.023 at 10:19 p.m. We have more missed tests on November 6th. We missed, which was I believe on a Sunday, we missed the 6 a.m. test window and the 10 a.m. test window. On another note, Your Honor, Mr.
We have
Vasquez.
cocaine, right?
Yes. We also have a positive UA. We have a positive UA for cocaine that was submitted on September 8th. The UA was sent out to a lab. Mr. Vasquez challenged that. They sent it out to the lab. That was sent out on the 15th. The test was confirmed positive, and the lab itself, or RMS, didn't upload it into the system until September 26th. The lab's results were positive, 3,082 nanograms over milliliters for cocaine. I barely found out about it when Mr. Vasquez reported on October and stuff. Unfortunately, he didn't say anything about that. He had challenged that, but it wasn't sent out to the lab. It took some while to get there, get tested, and came back, but it did come back positive.
Yeah, so just get me a bench. Well, Mr. Beal, what I
Judge,
think.
respectfully, I'd like to see the documentation.
Okay,
So I
well,
can
while we
confirm it.
get you the documentation, I want a bench warrant. So I think this is way out of control. I know last time we were set for an admonishment on September 13th, Mr. Vasquez. And apparently you were just having and continue to want to have a big party. So we're going to cut that pretty quick. Just get me a bench warrant, Mr. Macias. Mr. Beal, I'll have
All the reports are into the probation department. They can just email them to me.
Of course, and I'm saying by all means, go ahead, because if we're looking at something that's going to be challenged, contested, that's great. But in the interim, he's on probation for a DWI third that got reduced to a misdemeanor DWI, and he thinks it's a big fat joke.
I
So
understand, Judge.
I know you do, Mr. Beal. I don't think your client does. So let's get the bench warrant, Mr. Macias, ASAP.
Judge, he will surrender himself this afternoon.
Okay, I'll have him down for a probation status on December. No, we'll do November 29th at 3 p.m.
If you send me the warrant, I'll send him down to the jail.
Okay, as soon as I get it, we'll get going.
Email it to me and we'll send him down.
As soon as I get it, we'll get going, okay?
All right.
But we'll have that hearing at the 3 p.m. slot on the 29th because that'll be the jail docket. All righty.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Judge.
Who's next?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Macias.
Top of page 9, Judge.
Okay.
In cause number 2021-0D00847, State of Texas versus Ernesto Ramirez. Announcement of council, please.
Samantha Rogg on behalf of the state. State's ready, Your Honor.
First Perez for probation, Your Honor.
Ms. Garcia, are you there?
Yes, Your Honor, I am.
Okay, great. Mr. Ramirez, good to see you. We're here for a review hearing. How are we doing, Ms. Escajeda?
Well, Your Honor, so we've run into a little bit of problems. And this has nothing to do with Mr. Ramirez. As far as he's in the DWI program, he just started off with us. We just got him assessed on the 8th for treatment. It was due to the counselor's recommendation that he start residential with Aliviane. However, yesterday he was supposed to be admitted into Aliviane, and there was a miscommunication about his funds, about how much he makes. So he was not accepted. So now we kind of have to go back from square one and place him into our program and get him started right away. He is having issues with his device.
What do we mean about issues with his device?
He hasn't been using his device, and he is currently locked out. He is locked out of his device due to non-payment. A judge has not addressed those situations with the DWI court because we were going to get him into treatment. Judge is very key on getting into treatment and seeing treatment providers before he starts with sanctions. But at this point, we're going to start back now from square one. He also tested positive on the device. He had a positive reading the 12th of August and the 25th, positive on the device.
Okay, so I'm a little, before I go into my mode, let me understand. So so he's with the DWI court probation, right?
Yes, he was on regular probation. If I can give you a backstory, he was, I think initially he was going to try to go to the veterans program.
Oh no, I remember. I'm just kind of trying to figure out, in a sense, because what you're telling me, like if he's really mine, in other words, if I'm really supervising him and managing his treatment, I'm kind of wondering why he's here. So I just want to make sure he is in Judge Anchondo's DWI court, correct?
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, and we're going to set him up with treatment. Once he starts with his treatments, Judge will most definitely be addressing those issues. But Judge wants to make sure that we get him into treatment. That's why we were pushing for Aliviane, but now due to his finances, they've said no.
So I know with some of the things that you've mentioned, I know Judge Anchondo has a plan for him in terms of sanctions, because when I'm hearing that, if he's mine, it's a different story.
Yes, Your Honor.
So I'm not quite sure why he's on our docket, so to speak, and not on Mr. Ramirez. You're shaking your head, but I'm telling you right now, the only thing that's saving you from going to jail, and you and I have a lot of history, meaning I know your situation. Your attorney has been here, probation, the court, everyone has worked with you. And to hear that there are still positives, for my purposes, it's an automatic bench warrant. But I know DWI court is different.
Yes, Judge.
So, when is Judge Anchondo addressing Mr. Ramirez's case?
We're actually in court right now. I was gonna get with Ms. Medina to see if he wanted him to come in the afternoon or if we want to start him next week. But we do have court weekly.
Okay, Mrs. Cajeda, if there is some plan going forward today, as a courtesy, would you let me know? This court has been very involved with Mr. Ramirez just to get him to DWI court. So I'm a little upset, but I know hopefully he's where he's supposed to be succeeding, even though to me it doesn't sound like he is, because even if there's a hiccup about finances or whatever, you're still not supposed to be coming out positive on the monitor. And now there's no monitor, and that gives the court a huge amount of concern.
Yes, sure.
Would you please give me a summary or an update of what it is going forward? And if I need to speak with Judge Anchondo, I'll ask him.
Yes.
Okay, alrighty.
An email and with the type of treatment he'll be receiving and those appointments, of course.
Thank you, Mrs. Cajeda. Mr. Ramirez, the only thing I can tell you is it's not unusual for Judge Anchondo. If he tries everything in his bag of tricks and you still don't succeed, he will kick you back to me. And he will tell me everything that went wrong and why you were one of the few people who could not take advantage of that program. What I mean, take advantage of it is find the resources to help you live a sober and manageable life. So I don't want to see you back here. Ms. Garcia, I want to thank you also for being here today. I know you've also been so instrumental in keeping your client on track in some of the bumpier times, okay? So I don't know that we need to see Mr. Ramirez again unless things go awry in DWI court.
I'm here on the courthouse, Judge. I will get to you if there's any issues.
Let me know, Mrs. Cajeda, always open to hear it. Okay, you all are excused. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Who's next?
Back up page 3, Judge, Ms. King and Ms. Pages is back, are back.
Okay,
In cause number 2022 0D00564 and 2019 0D03583, State of Texas versus Joseph Rodriguez. Announcement of council, please.
Raul King for the state of Texas. Good morning, Your Honor.
morning.
And Mirna Pages for Mr. Rodriguez. Good morning.
Okay, and so final judges conference, defendant's been in 230 plus days. We have a jury trial on the 27th of January. Don't see a whole lot of movement, but what's going on this one?
Your Honor, Ms. Pages and I kind of spoke briefly this morning. We kind of wanted this hearing to be reset. There's not really an update. The only thing left, and I will convey that to Ms. Pages by the end of the day on Monday, is a recommendation from the state. So that is the only thing I believe Ms. Myrna for the court we also made her aware of that. So we kind of just wanted to let you know that's the only update there is.
No outstanding issues, outstanding discovery. I mean, otherwise, you know, other than a wreck floating out there, are we ready for trial?
I really can't say, Judge, until I make sure that we go through everything. We have kind of been going back and forth, me and Ms. King and Mr. Hernandez on the case with respect to GSR stuff, 911 records. Let me just double check to make sure, Judge, but primarily we are waiting for that rec so that we can talk to our client.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and come back. I don't want to wait until next year to talk to you all. So we're gonna come back on December. We better do it before then, November 29th. Is that the Tuesday? Yep, November 29th. We're gonna reset the final judges conference. Okay?
Okay, sounds good, Judge. Thank you.
3 p.m. my Myrna. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Judge, so it'll be 3 p.m. So
jail docket.
So Mr. Rodriguez can be present, right? Okay, good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right.
May I be excused, Judge?
Thank you, Ms. King.
Thank you.
Who's next?
Bottom of page 8, Judge. In cause number 2015 0D03926, State of Texas versus Patricia Puga. Announcement of council, please.
Samantha Rogg on behalf of the state. State's ready, Your Honor.
Oh, Ms. Guerra, I received your update from about 2 days ago. And so let me see. I gotta assume nothing's changed. And then you had, I can't think offhand what the timetable was. I think there was gonna be, what was the next check-in that she was gonna do with you?
The next court hearing you have for 11/29.
Okay, but in your email, did you not mention there was like, she's only allowed to call in a certain amount of times?
Yes, typically we have them to call in once a month so that we don't disrupt the treatment. But
Okay.
I will be in contact weekly with her counselor.
Correct. Okay. All right. Then when, let me see. I'm trying to look at the timetable. Is the 29th going to be too soon before she checks in again?
Yes, ma'am. I won't speak to her until December, the beginning days of December.
Okay, so we'll do December 13th. Myrna, let's cancel out the 29th and do December 13th at 10 a.m. Again, Ms. Guerra, if you'll send me just the update like you did last time, maybe ahead of time, then we won't have to do the actual.
Okay, for the hearing, or do you want the weekly update?
Well, I certainly want to know a weekly update if something is not right.
Okay.
Okay, as long as we're on track, that's fine, and then I can wait until the 13th.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Who's
you, Judge.
next?
May I be excused?
You may, thanks.
Thank you.
Middle of page 10, Judge.
Mhm.
Mr. Flores. In cause number 2018 0D00595, State of Texas versus Michelob J. Flores, announcement of council, please.
Samantha Rogg on behalf of the state. State's ready, Your Honor.
Carla, are you covering this one? I'm just getting back to the reports.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, let me find. Okay, can you go ahead and give me an update, please?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Flores, we are following up on the status. If you recall, Your Honor, Mr. Flores has had many medical issues and he's undergone surgery. Which was some of the issues that were causing him to be late on his monitor. All this has been addressed with the court, Your Honor. The update from probation is he recently got released from the hospital, discharged from surgery. He's waiting for heart transplant and other issues. As per the last report, Your Honor, that the officer has for the monitor, he does have about 15 skip test windows, which are late. In other words, some are late, but there are no actually high readings or anything like that. But the officer feels it's due to the medical issues that he's had. My understanding is he does have oxygen as well, which kind of causes those issues as well. Everything is done, Judge, as far as probation requirements, with the exception of the 10 ACOP days. And his case is set to expire this upcoming March 12th, 2023.
Okay. When was the last positive that we had? I show a positive back between March and April.
The April 14th, 2022?
Mm-hmm. And we haven't had any since then, right?
No, Your Honor.
I don't know what we're gonna do. What are we gonna do about those ACOP days? Mr. Flores? How are you doing? I can't hear you because you're muted.
Your Honor?
Yes.
Sorry.
That's okay. So you've been on probation for a long time, and I know you have a lot of health issues. We have outstanding days. Carla, or I don't know, can anyone inform me? I mean, I can't imagine is the jail going to be able to take him to do ACOP days? Mr. Marufo, do you have any information on or in your experience?
They do accommodate as long as he has his own oxygen. I believe that's what he's on. As long as they have their equipment, they accommodate those type of cases, Judge.
Yeah, that's going to be tough. I'm not sure, Mr. Flores, if your situation is going to improve or not. The primary reason why you were before this court is because I have 8 pages of non-compliance on your monitor. You're not driving, right? Do you have permission to drive? Okay.
No, I don't drive, not just because of my, I'm not allowed to, because of my leg functions also.
What's his term date, Carla?
March 12th, 2023.
Okay. 2020 what?
23.
Okay.
Upcoming.
So let's just do a review on March 2nd. That's a Thursday at 10 a.m. 2023. I'll look at your case summary at that point, and technically you're still on the hook for your 10 days ACOP. That's what I'll tell you. So if there's any information probation can provide Carla about him being able to complete those, when it comes to health situations, that fluctuates. So I don't know if we're going to be in a different place at any point in time, better, worse, I don't know. But yes, ma'am.
mean, I don't know if it would be in the best interest of Mr. Flores to possibly consider some kind of work release. I know he's not working or something, but I don't know if there's a way of changing the order where he can just go certain days instead of doing the 10 straight, work something out for him like that. Maybe he can talk to his probation officer if something like that would work rather than doing the 10 days consecutive.
Right. And I normally, Mr. Flores, so you know that the court does not require they be done either like immediately when you plea, or, you know, we always allow work release, weekends, things of that nature. So talk to your probation officer and see what options there are. I don't know if there'll be a good time, but we'll see where we are. They're still pending. Okay.
Your
All right.
Honor, I was just going to inform you and the court. I do have it's a review with my cardiologist in early January.
Okay.
To discuss whether I need to leave town to get a review for the heart transplant. But at that time, I can also ask the cardiologist to maybe evaluate me to see if I can do my days.
Whatever you get from that, if there's some type of recommendation or, you know, some other order there, make sure you let your probation officer know if it's very restrictive, things like that. So I know. Okay. All right. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Pineda. Who's next?
Your Honor. Bye-bye.
Judge, middle of page 6, I have Ms. Romero here, but her client has not checked in yet.
Who is it?
Huerta Michael,
I'm sorry, what page was that on?
page 6, Judge, middle of page 6.
I'm sorry. Good morning, Judge. I thought he was supposed to check in on Monday, and I thought he told me he had via Zoom. I'd send him the link.
Did he not check in?
No, he did check in, but it's a probation status hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry. I misread. I thought that he was supposed to check in Monday, and then I was supposed to show up today.
So he checked in yesterday. See if you can get in touch with him. Let me pull up the report real quick. Oh, Mr. Wood. Oh.